Happy New Year and welcome back to the Follow Your Spark podcast. It's your host, Gina here, and I'm so excited to be coming on for a very special New Year's episode where I'm coming on to share one of my favorite rituals that I typically do for myself today that I decided to do for all of us. What it is I pulled an oracle card spread to show us the themes from this year, the energy that we've come from, the future we're moving into, and what can support us in this moment to navigate this extremely unique time in the world and history that we're living through. So if you are craving some intuitive guidance to give you an insight of what to expect this year, this episode is going to be so juicy and I cannot wait for you to hear it. You ready? Let's go. Okay, so the deck that I use today is the Archetypes deck from Kim Cran's The Wild Unknown. And I absolutely love her and love her decks. I actually use her Animal Spirit deck. That is a beautiful deck of all kinds of animals and spirit cards to pull a year ahead spread that I do for myself on my birthday, that I do for clients on their birthdays or the beginning of the year. So I am deeply steeped in these decks. I love them so much and they always have profound messages for me. So that's the deck I'm using. And the spread that I pulled is about past, where we've come from, what the past indicates in this spread, not the card, but just the essence of the card, what it represents, is the archetypal dynamic from the past that still lingers in your field of awareness. It is possible this energy needs to be let go of, or perhaps it's a key lesson, tool, or dynamic within your history that needs to resurface now. So that's the energy of the past. So once I pull that card, you'll know that's the essence of what the past means. And then the future card in this spread indicates the archetypal energy residing over what is next. Whether welcomed or not, this is the image on the horizon that you will soon encounter on both personal and collective levels. So that's what the future represents. And then the self card is in the center. And it says, the stable and central force within the axis, the part of you that holds the entire sense of self together. Since this card appears in the center, take additional time to understand its implications. So that's what that self card represents. And then I added a theme for this year card and decided to pull a card that represents what can we expect this year? What's the energy that we're most steeped in? What guidance and wisdom would it serve us to open up to in this moment? So that's the overall spread. You ready to hear what the energy of the past is? Okay, so the past card that I pulled is called the Pilgrim. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see an image of these beautiful cards. And when I'm doing readings for people, I always have them look at the card first to see if there's anything that stands out to them before I even read the description. So this is the Pilgrim, and it has lots of interesting colors. It's card 20 in the deck. So let's hear what the Pilgrim represents in terms of the past and the energy that might hold a key lesson for all of us in this moment. The Pilgrim says, the wanderer, the traveler, the apprentice. For the pilgrim, an outward journey is always an inward journey. This archetypal wanderer seeks wisdom, experience, and meaning in the farthest reaches of the globe and the deepest regions of the spirit. Others will wonder when the pilgrim will settle down and claim a more conventional life. But the pilgrim knows that the heart belongs in motion. Where there is motion, there is freedom, expansion, and growth. Responsibilities, social conventions, and logistics lull us to sleep, and soon the pilgrim becomes veiled in the slumber of the day-to-day. Yet when this archetype awakens, it rallies our sense of adventure and leads us out the door towards a new reality. With the pilgrim at your side, you will never lack courage, nor do you need every amenity. Travel light, travel soon. Your spirit needs it. So again, when I do readings for people, I always ask them, what in that stands out to you? So as you're hearing me read those words, is there anything that you remember? Is there anything that stands out when you think about your own past and where you've come from, maybe in 2024 or even long before that? How does the energy of the pilgrim, the wanderer, the traveler, the apprentice resonate with you? Some other things that this card says, it says, even in the stillness of meditation, the pilgrim feels the movement of the heart towards what it loves. It says, we all have a deep longing to answer the call, to get unstuck. What are the obstacles between you and the door? So when I pulled this card, it definitely resonated with me, and I can see these energies for sure reflected in my clients and my community and my friends, in the sense that I know so many people who feel this deep yearning and longing in their heart, who feel that spark. Again, why this podcast is called Follow Your Spark. I know so many people who feel this spark in their heart that wants more, that wants something beyond the conventional, beyond the logistics of our everyday routine life, how we've done things in the past, how we're expected or raised, conditioned to be. So I feel like so many of us are awakening to that pilgrim spirit that has a dream, that has a calling. It might not know where it's going to lead, but there's that yearning inside. And there's also the tension, right? Of, is the pilgrim going to be lulled to sleep by responsibilities, social conventions, logistics? What obstacles are in the way of the pilgrim being able to embark on its quest? So that's the energy from the past that I see us all coming from, this awakening to this spark within, to this pilgrim spirit, and also being present to the tension and the challenges that might get in the way of us pursuing that dream or that spark, whatever it is. Now, the future card. Again, the archetypal energy residing over what's next. So the card that I pulled is the card in this deck, number 9, the Hunter. So if you're not watching this on YouTube, the image of the card is a horse kind of riding into the light, this like black stallion riding into the light. And it's again called the Hunter. So the description for the Hunter is the seeker, the pursuer, the predator. The hunter hunts. They are on a precise mission with an aim. To return home empty-handed would be to fail, which is not an option in the hunter's eyes. This archetype will journey far and wide, seeking the prize that calls to its heart or stomach. Tales of bravery and feats of strength often result, creating a life full of adventure. The hunter is skillful, quick, decisive, and results-oriented, like the great hunting goddess Artemis, who carries her quiver upon her back. The hunter typically has a weapon of choice. When this card appears, it is critical that you ask 3 questions. What am I hunting? Why am I hunting it? Is the weapon I hold so tightly in my grip truly needed for the task at hand? When you hear the description of that card, what stands out for you? When you think about the future, again, 2025 and beyond, what's coming next, how does that feel connected to the energy of the hunter for you, or even what you're sensing in the overall collective and community? I've pulled this card for myself many times, so it feels very familiar to me and also very relevant. Similar to the pilgrim of, okay, the pilgrim, the past had this spark, this yearning, this call for something beyond the conventional, beyond the expected life. And then the future, this card is the hunter. It is clearer in its aim. It's clearer in what it's seeking and where it's directing its energy. It has a focus and a drive and a passion, and it is moving with momentum in that direction. It also reminds me of the energy of, recently I held this masterclass about how to stop self-sabotaging and live a life of no regrets. And it feels like this theme also, because again, I know so many people who have that deep call, who have that deep yearning of the pilgrim and are at that tipping point of no more am I willing to live how I've been living, to live how society told me I should be living. Now I am ready to break free and move forward with momentum to create the life that I want to live so that I can live a life of no regrets. And this line, the hunter hunts. They are on a precise mission with an aim. To return home empty-handed would be to fail, which is not an option. And again, I know so many people who are just like, it's not an option for me to not live my purpose, for me to not follow my soul's calling. It's just not an option. My soul will not allow it. And I feel and hear, again, with clients and community and so many people, this awakening of this energy and this fire, this drive to create something different, something that they deeply align with, something that the community deeply aligns with. And it's this passion and commitment and momentum to pursue that vision. So some other things that this card says: study the Greek goddess Artemis. Notice her nuanced relationship to the moon, the earth, and the feminine. The predator honors its prey with a precise and skillful hunt. The hunter deeply reveres the life it aims to take. And then it says, where you activate the hunter archetype, you are aligning your energy with the great creatures of the world: the lion, the wolf, the tiger, the shark. Do so with care. Again, for me personally, Artemis has shown up as a main goddess guide in my life, and she's that goddess of the hunt, the goddess who is aiming at her prey, is aiming at what she wishes for. And again, over the past couple of years, I feel like I've been in a lot of conversations about what it means to have a vision, what it means to be in this practice of manifestation and law of attraction, and how to find this balance and dance between having a vision and also not holding on to that vision so tightly with a death grip that you leave no room for spirit to help guide you. So this question of the hunter, these three questions at the end when it says, what am I hunting? Why am I hunting it? Is the weapon I hold so tightly in my grip truly needed for the task at hand? Those are really important questions to think about for yourself in the future. And when this card came up for me in the past, this thought of, what am I hunting? I'm hunting in my life. I'm hungry for living this life of purpose, living this life of service, of following my spark of my passion and my inspiration, my creativity, and unleashing my full potential and supporting other people to do the same. That's what I'm hunting in this lifetime. That's what I'm hungry for. That's what I feel like I'm here on this world to do. And this is, why am I hunting it? I mean, basically what I just said. It's like this soul fire calling inside of me, this spark that's just alive, I can't not pursue. So that feels like a deep truth. And the question is, the weapon I hold so tightly in my grip truly needed for the task at hand? I thought about what weapon I'm using to hunt this vision, this passion, this purpose. The weapon that came to mind at first was a hammer. And I'm like hammering through my life, like hunting this vision and this purpose that I am seeking. So when I asked myself, is the weapon I hold so tightly truly needed for the task at hand? The answer was absolutely not. A hammer is not necessary and not useful for me to hunt this goal. So when I asked myself, what weapon would be more appropriate, the weapon or the tool that came to my mind was a flashlight of love, a flashlight of light to illuminate my path and to help illuminate a path for others as well, if they feel called in the direction that I'm going and the energy that I'm offering. That feels like a more appropriate light. So when I think about the future, again, it's this invitation to ask yourself, what are you hunting? What matters to you deeply and why? You need to be connected to your why. Otherwise, it's very easy to be lulled back to sleep, to be lulled back into that pilgrim energy that maybe has a yearning, but is letting the logistics and responsibilities of the world lull them back to sleep. So in the future, this year, in this moment, begin thinking about marinating on, what are you hunting in this life? What is calling to you deeply? What is your soul yearning for? And why does it matter? Why does it matter so deeply to you? And what is the weapon or tool you feel like you've been using to move forward towards that aim? And is it working for you? If it's not working for you, then what other tool could be more appropriate and help you more? The next card, the self. Again, what the self card represents in this spread is the stable and central force within the axis, the part of you that holds the entire sense of self together. Since this card appears in the center, take additional time to understand its implications. The card that I pulled for the self feels very appropriate. And that card is the riddle. It's number 53 in this deck. And if you can't see this on YouTube, the picture is like this knot and these 3 different hands reaching for it. So the riddle card represents the puzzle, the question, the mystery. When the riddle is present, one must stop searching for the right answer. It cannot be found, and ultimately it is not important. Rather, there must be a shift from the literal to the metaphorical, from the logic to the mythic. You are thinking too small and literally about the situation. The riddle card appears when the energy is deep and mysterious, like the elusive wisdom in a Zen koan. Focusing harder won't do it, neither will increased effort. Time, surrender, and humor are your only allies. What feels like the most pressing dilemma won't reveal its deeper wisdom for a long time. Eventually, you'll learn a profound lesson from the riddle. For now, get comfortable with the limitations of your intellect and the reality of not knowing. It may, in fact, be the only reality there is. Ah, so good. So when you hear that, what stands out to you about yourself in this very moment in time? What resonates? What words caught your attention as I was reading through it? What stands out to me is I know, again, so many clients, so many friends, and I've experienced this myself, of people experiencing some challenge in their life or navigating something that feels uncertain. And they're asking this question, but how is it all going to work out? How did I get here? Where am I going? What's happening? What's the story here? I don't get it. Life or a circumstance feels like a riddle. It feels like a puzzle, and it feels like we don't have all the pieces yet. And so often people can make that a bad thing. They can make that a challenge and a problem and feel like, I should have it all figured out. I should have all the answers. But what if you shouldn't? What if life is this beautiful mystery, this beautiful riddle that you get to unravel your whole life? And after you unravel one riddle, another riddle appears and you get to dance with that one. And I was with some friends recently, and one of my dear friends shared about how her father, or I think it was either her father, her grandfather, someone in her life was a metal worker and had made this metal puzzle, like one of those metal toy puzzles that kind of fit together and you have to maneuver it to unhook it and unravel it. And every time she looked at it and tried to unravel it, no matter how much she thought about it and how much attention she gave it, she couldn't unravel it. And yet, if she just stopped thinking about it, but just had it still in her hands and was having a conversation with someone and just let her hands, kind of work with it, it would come undone. And she could never recreate it. She could only unravel the puzzle when she wasn't thinking about it. And that's exactly what the essence of this card means to me. That last sentence, for now, get comfortable with the limitations of your intellect and the reality of not knowing. It may, in fact, be the only reality there is. So my invitation to you in this moment, can you let go of it being a problem if there's something that feels like a riddle to be solved in your life right now? If there's something that you feel like you don't have all the answers for, you don't have all the clarity you desire, can you surrender with it? Can you bring in a little more ease and know that nothing has gone wrong? It's okay to be in the mystery. Some other things this card says is, who am I? The only way to work with a riddle successfully is to not work. I'm laughing because this card for sure is coming up super strong for me right now. And one of the biggest riddles in my life at the moment is struggling with insomnia. And I talked about this on a different podcast, in the self-sabotage podcast, and something I've navigated for many years. And it feels like this massive riddle in my life right now. And I am just now in a new way beginning to soften with this riddle a little bit more and be in this place of curiosity and okayness with not knowing why this is my riddle to solve in this moment and what the solution is, if there's a solution, and trying to not think so hard about it and let my hands just continue to work with the puzzle while my mind rests and see what I can unravel. So that's how it's showing up in one way in my life right now. And I invite you to marinate on what that is looking like for you in your life. Where are there riddles showing up, and how can you bring in more softness and ease? So that's the past, the future, and the self energy where we are currently sitting in. And that felt super resonant for me. I am so curious if this is landing with you. So leave me a comment on YouTube, leave me a comment on social media. If you're on my email list, email me back. I would love to hear what you're feeling and hearing in this for yourself. Before I get into the theme card for the year, I wanted to share again why it was so important for me to offer this to you today and why this ritual of pulling cards is so important to me. Oracle cards, they work in imagery, they work in metaphor. They're a tool, just like this riddle card is saying, to get out of the head space and into the heart space. Because so often people try to think a problem to death. They try to take the hammer at something that doesn't need a hammer, it needs a flashlight in. So using other tools like this, oracle cards, other practices to unlock your intuition, I find massively helpful and transformational on my own journey as that pilgrim, as that hunter, someone who has this purpose and calling, who is not going to live life by societal convention, is going to pave my own path. These tools have made the biggest difference for me. And if you are on this path too, if you feel resonant with the pilgrim energy, with the hunter energy, it involves navigating into the unknown. And tools like this can help you do that. That's another reason why intuition and strengthening your intuitive muscles is such a huge focus in my Alchemize and Expand program that is about to start on Monday, January 6th. And like I mentioned earlier in the podcast, I pull year ahead spreads for people from Kim Cran's other deck, the Animal Spirit deck, that has a theme card for every single month of the year, as well as a theme card for your year that will help you uncover what energies, what themes, what messages would make the biggest difference for you to hear in this moment. And that session is part of Alchemize and Expand. So when you join Alchemize and Expand, it's a 3-month program that includes 3 transformational group coaching experiences, as well as 9 one-on-one sessions. And one of those sessions is this year ahead intuitive coaching session. And it comes with this journal. So if you're, again, watching this on YouTube, you can see this journal. So I've used this journal for 4+ years and I love it so much. It's a space to collage. It's a space to track insights from the cards that came up. It's a place to track your goals and intentions for the month. It's also a place to gather evidence of the signs and synchronicities you're seeing, so that when your brain wants to tell you, oh, intuition is a bunch of mumbo jumbo, like, why should I trust my intuition? You now have a record of what happened every single month when you trusted your intuition, when you trusted the signs and synchronicities that you've been receiving and following, and you can see what happens. That's how you build this muscle. And that's what's so important to me in the Alchemize and Expand program. It's that you're strengthening these skills that will serve you for the rest of your life. If you're looking for support, Alchemizing 2024, so that you can look back on everything you experienced and really integrate it in a way that leaves you feeling grateful and empowered, and then have space to dream and vision for 2025, fueled by possibility and clarity and faith, this program is for you. It's going to be magic. It's going to unlock the powers of your mind, your body, and your spirit. I cannot wait to go on this journey with all the people who have joined already. And if you are feeling called, I cannot wait to see you there. To claim one of the remaining spots, go to ginacasbarro.com/alchemize and expand. And I will see you on Monday, January 6th. Okay, are you ready for the theme card for the year? Again, this feels very appropriate. So the theme card I pulled for the year is called The Starborn. And if you are seeing it on YouTube or if you're not seeing it on YouTube, it's a picture of an egg that is cracking. And there's this colorful background with little sparks in the atmosphere. And it's card number 3. The Starborn reads, "The divine child, the star child, the destined, an elusive yet radiant aspect of the self. The starborn archetype points to the cosmic spark of light that arrives within each being at birth. The moment the newborn crowns, whether vaginally or surgically, the royal stars above are said to constellate in a unique shape that maps our path in the world. The idea of destiny is controversial, yet the starborn naturally feels a sense of destination and purpose, aiming itself towards a future that is beyond the mundane." When this card appears, travel back to your birth story for clues and insight. What did you desire when you were young? Practice seeing your life from a mythic point of view rather than as a series of logistics. Read the story of the 3 fates and envision yourself born under the stars with a unique destiny. Again, what stands out to you when you hear that card? And this is the card that represents the theme energy for the year that we're in. For me, it seemed to tie everything up beautifully that we've been talking about. It talks about that spark inside that the starborn has that is aiming it towards a future of purpose and passion, something that it was destined for, that it was born into this lifetime at this moment in order to fulfill. So it feels like 2025 is this invitation to lean into that energy of the starborn, of what is your purpose here in this world. And if you've forgotten, if you've lost touch with that energy, that yearning, that spark, that call in your heart, there's this invitation and question of, what did you desire when you were young? Practice seeing your life from a mythic point of view rather than as a series of logistics. So if you were to, again, let go of logistics, let go of conventions, let go of just focusing on the responsibilities of your day-to-day and sank deep into what lit you up when you were young, what lights you up now, what's calling to you in this moment, and how can you lean into that? Again, the image for this card is an egg that is cracking. And I'm thinking about my favorite astrologer, Virginia Rosenberg. I was on her yearly forecast call, and she talked about the energy of this year being like this egg, being that we're at a time of rebirth. There's so much change going on in the cosmos. I won't get into things astrologically, and we are in the midst of massive, massive change in 2025. The energies are shifting, the dynamics are shifting, the paradigms are shifting. Even if you're not into astrology at all, I would imagine you can probably sense something along those lines. And she talks about, in order to expand into this next level, there has to be some force. There has to be a breaking of the egg from the inside out. We have to tap on that shell to allow that opening, to remove the shell from off of us so that we can expand and be birthed and step out into the world and fulfill our purpose. So that is the energy that I feel like 2025 is calling us forward, is inviting us to be reborn and step into that spark, that essence that's inside of us. So some other things this card says. It says, when this card appears, don't be surprised if you receive a surge of desire for a long lost dream, one you haven't visited since childhood. Let this desire shake you up. Ooh, I have goosebumps reading this. So I can't wait to hear if there's a long lost desire that gets reawakened inside of you. If you're already feeling that calling, again, leave me a comment, reach out to me, let me know. I'm so curious what you're experiencing. The other thing I want to read you from this card, so I haven't been reading this for all the cards, but there's a line that says to go deeper into this card. What this card recommends is going deeper by reading Tripping Over Joy by Hafez. And I want to read you this poem. Tripping Over Joy. What is the difference between your experience of existence and that of a saint? The saint knows that the spiritual path is a sublime chess game with God, and that the beloved has just made such a fantastic move. that the saint is now continually tripping over joy and bursting out in laughter and saying, I surrender. Whereas, my dear, I'm afraid you still think you have 1,000 serious moves. What that means to me, again, like the other card of the riddle, it's like in this poem, the saint is able to surrender to the mystery, is able to surrender to the riddle and laugh and enjoy. And even if a challenge comes up, even if an obstacle comes up, they're able to be in that energy. Whereas most people are trying to beat the problem to death with a hammer and think it through so hard with their logical mind and leave no room for the mystery and make it a problem that there's a mystery at all. So that's the last thing I want to leave you with today. What would it look like again to bring a little bit more joy and laughter and ease into this moment, into whatever challenge or blessing you're facing, and enjoy the ride? All right, my friend, I hope this podcast today was meaningful for you, resonated with you. Again, let me know what stood out if it did. I'm wishing you so many blessings in the new year, and I will talk to you soon.